Hello, my name is Daniel Hudson, and imagine you wake up tomorrow and the President and the Vice President of the United States of America are dead. You first mourn their passing, but then you wonder who will run the country in their wake. Before today, maybe you knew that the President of the United States couldn't perform their duty and the Vice President would replace them. But you might not know what happens if they both are gone. Well, according to the Senate.gov, on July 18, 1947, President Harry Truman signed the Presidential Succession Act. The original act of 1792 had placed the Senate President pro tempore and Speaker of the House in the line of succession, but in 1886, Congress had removed them. The 1947 law reinserted those officials, but placed the Speaker ahead of the President pro tempore. If you don't know, the Speaker of the House is the highest ranking official in the House of Representatives, and the President pro tempore is the highest ranking official in the Senate when the Vice President isn't present. From its inception, the act speaking on the presidential line of succession has been vague, so different leaders have had their own interpretations on who assumes power, in what order they assume power in, and how long they serve for until the next election for a new president. But all of this confusion was cleared up in this Presidential Succession Act of 1947. According to Congress.gov, persons in the line of succession are nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and these such people can be called officers of the United States. Today, the presidential line of succession starts out with the three elected officials below the president, which are the Vice President, Speaker of the House, and President pro tempore of the Senate. The next 15 are appointed by the President and voted by the Congress. They include Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and finally, Secretary of Homeland Security. And they go in this order for presidential succession. These people don't have to assume the role of president if the persons or persons above them cannot perform their duties or decline to fill the role. Even though the likelihood of the Secretary of Homeland Security or anyone in succession lower than the first few of becoming president is very low, it's important to have a plan in place. Thus, if something does happen, the succession plan is not up for interpretation or vague to anyone in power, but there is a concrete succession plan in place so that the country can run smoothly until the next election. So the president, vice president, or persons in the line for president die, you now know there's a person in place to run this country for the foreseeable future. Thank you.